In this lesson, we're going to talk about creating methods that have output parameters. And we've seen output parameters already with the double dot try parse method. I described it at the time that we used it a couple of lessons ago. And I said, well, just ignore that keyword out. I don't want to talk about that right now. Again, now's the time we talk about creating output parameters. And as we saw with the double dot try parse, you basically get you kill two birds with one stone. First of all, you can judge the success or the failure of that operation. It's going to return a bool. In addition to the return value, you can send values back out using the out parameter. So we've been working with input parameters where we pass stuff in. Now we can shoot stuff out of a method not just by its return, but also as out parameters. So we can send out some value that was calculated. Was the calculation a success? Yes or no? Yes. Then perform this operation. And oh, by the way, this was the value that was produced from that operation. Okay? So let's see this in action here. You can see that I have a project, CS-ASP_034. Please download it, open it up, catch up with me. And what we need to do is another variation on the hero versus monster. Again, sorry, it's just familiar territory for us at this point. Let's suppose that I haven't implemented that perform attack method, and I want to rethink how I'm going to actually approach that programming challenge. And I need to perform a battle here, and if at the end of the particular battle, either the monster or the hero wins, then we'll want to loot the corpse of the other of the opponent. Okay, it's kind of morbid, but you know, that happens in video games. So what we're going to do is implement our perform attack a little bit differently. In fact, I'm even going to call it something different. Let's go here just randomly under the display round header, and I'm going to copy and paste out some code that I've already written here. And let's get this all lined up nice and even like so. Okay, and you can see that instead of calling it perform attack, I called it defeat enemy, because I want this to, instead of telling the method that I want to do something, I'm going to be asking, is this true that we defeated the enemy, true or false? All right, so the semantics of what I'm trying to accomplish in this method have changed. The name needs to change so that it reads again like literature, like a story inside the code where I'm consuming this method. So, did we defeat the enemy? If so, then loot the corpse. All right, as opposed to some other verbiage that might not read quite as cleanly as that in the story that is our page load or our click event or whatever the case might be. Okay, so you can see that defeat enemy has a new distinguishing feature here, and that is that we are calculating the remainder defender health, and if that is greater than 0, then we're going to return true. We have, actually, if it's less than 0, less or equal to 0, then it's true. We've defeated the enemy. Otherwise, return false. We have not defeated the enemy. Furthermore, what we want to do is pass this remaining defender health out of this method, so that not only can we determine whether we've successfully defeated the enemy, but if we've not defeated the enemy, then how many hit points are left, essentially, how much health is left. So we're going to add the out int remaining defender health, like so. Now, I need to change my code a little bit here because I've already declared this as a variable. I'm just going to remove that declaration because this declaration for that same variable name will be used. If I spell it correctly, remaining defender health, like so. Great. Now, whenever I go to use this, I can simply do something like this. If defeat enemy, hero health, 20, monster hero, out hero health, then loot enemy. I'll call another method that I've created here that's merely, here let's just right click and go to that definition. It merely will just print out in red text a magic sword and 20 gold pieces are collected from the corpse. Okay, so just a little bit of a a bonus there at the end if we actually win. And of course, we could blow out that logic and make it a little bit more interesting than what I've done here. But the key idea here is that now we're able to not only pass the success or failure of the operation, but if we have successfully defeated the enemy, then we can just go right to the very next line of code and call loot enemy. It's just a nice, more compact version of the perform attack that we've done before. And furthermore, what we get is an output of hero health. So let's run the application again. Let's see if this actually works. In fact, it's not going to really be a fair fight because only the monster is going to get to fight here. I believe. Yeah, we didn't wire up everything we needed to make this work, but the monster wins and he loots the corpse. Okay, so this isn't a fully implemented version of this application, but hopefully you get the idea about how to use output parameters. And there's really not a lot to it. I wouldn't recommend this because, again, I think it violates the single responsibility principle. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. The single responsibility principle says that every method, at least in this context, every method should only have one job and it should do it really well. It should have only one reason to change. In this particular case, we have two reasons to change and two jobs that we're performing. We're not only determining whether the fight was successful or not, or whether the enemy was defeated or not, but we're also calculating and returning back the health of the defender. Now, admittedly, that's a kind of a small thing. It's a very purist way of looking at this, but I would probably prefer to not use output parameters if I could avoid them. Or at least let me say this, I would be careful about their usage, all right? I would only use them in scenarios where it really makes sense, and it really helps to make the code nicely compact and readable, okay? All right, so that's all I want to say about output parameters. We'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks.